السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي واجعل لي وزيرا من أهلي هارون أخي اشدد به أزري ويشرك في أمري كي نسبحك كثيرا ونذكرك كثيرا إنك كنت بنا بصيرا. وصل اللهم على محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. Amen. We promised that we won't go back to the previous discussions and reference to them and start from this verse 15 and follow. Now these two words, the following as well, but especially these two words are very real in our practical life.
Just move just a little bit here.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Very real. As we read it, okay, Murad can read the Arabic one.
أما الإنسان إذا ما ابتلاه ربه فأكرمه ونعمه فيقول ربي أكرمن.
Okay, the second one.
وأما إذا ما ابتلاه فقدر عليه رزقه فيقول ربي أهانن.
Okay, English.
As for man, when his Lord tries him by honoring him and bestowing blessings on him, he says, "My Lord has honored me." Whereas whenever he tries him by straightening his means of livelihood, he says, "My Lord has disgraced me."
Now, do you think in these two verses, the same man, the same person is talked about? Same person. An insan. If a person receives blessings, if this person says, when he receives blessings, if he says, "My Lord has honored me," do you think when difficulties in life happens, his grace is straightened, God's grace is somehow not as much as it used to be, can he say, "My Lord has disgraced me"? The same person? Or these two verses are referring to two different people's attitudes?
I think they're referring to, I'm curious to know why you said two different people's attitudes versus two different attitudes within the same person.
Mm-hmm.
I think as a person, we can choose either of these two approaches or these two different attitudes. Not at the same time. That would be contradictory.
Usually, people think that if a person is grateful to what God bestows on him with his blessings, if he says, "My Lord has honored me," it means he's grateful. Then he's supposed to acknowledge that when the grace is limited or somehow taken away, he wouldn't criticize because he acknowledged the source. Don't you think that? Because when I receive something, I am aware that it is from my creator, if I am aware that if it is from my creator, I am happy with him. But when I don't receive it, I don't say, my Lord has disgraced me. It means I'm criticizing God. Do you think it happens in the same person? Although we acknowledge, usually what happens? Usually the first verse, what the first verse refers to, people don't acknowledge that usually it is God's blessings. Usually, most of the majority of the people don't acknowledge that it is God's blessings. When we receive the blessings, when God bestows blessings on us, we just take it for granted, as if the world has to be in this way. Only when the blessing is restrained, we remember God. This is the general attitude. Do we agree on this? For example, when sun rises and everything is okay, there is no hurricane or disaster, we say that is natural. The tendency is that it is natural. It has to be in this way. Or some people go even to more extreme case, saying that since I am made in this way, needy of something, so the one who made me must provide what my life requires. When it is not provided, then we rebel. But when it is provided, we don't acknowledge the source. For example, ask yourself, when there is nothing wrong happened to you, everything is fine, your life is comfortable, how likely that you will remember God?
Less likely.
Less likely, isn't it? It's less likely. To be honest, from my own experience, I have same thing. Less likely. When something happens that we don't like, we remember God. Some people remember God in order to criticize. Some people remember God in order to pray, acknowledge, and please get rid of this, or release me from this disaster or unwanted situation. Depending on the people's attitude, even the unbelievers, I feel that even the unbelievers, those people who don't believe in God, when something happened, they don't mind mentioning God, saying that where is God? So they conclude from there, since this kind of hardship is happening to human beings, they say if there was God, he has to be merciful and he has to provide everything for us. So look at this case now. He has not provided what we needed or something against our expectations. They say there is no such thing. It is accident, they say. The reason is when something positive happened, we don't question how it happened. When something negative, according to our expectations, negative happened, we question. But when something positive happened, we don't question how it happened, how it happens. I think we should educate ourselves, we should train ourselves. When everything is okay, I am healthy, or my stomach is full, my expectations are met, fulfilled, satisfied. We have to train ourselves to remember how they exist, to question how they exist. But when something happens that we don't like, then we can control ourselves not to criticize that situation. Because the Creator doesn't have to create in this way. Because when we understand that when He creates what we needed, it is His wisdom. He's a wise Creator. If He doesn't create something that I need, we try to understand His wisdom there. So the solution for the second verse comes from the realization of the first verse, what it says. When something happens, we have to question that we like, we have to question how it happened. So that when it doesn't happen, we understand the wisdom of the Creator, try to understand His wisdom, why He has not created something that I needed. We can understand, we can solve the problem. Otherwise, these two verses states that's how the human condition is, and what is the solution? No. He doesn't offer any solution as they two verses seem to stand. Doesn't offer any solution. But from the way it is presented, we should think about it, and we understand that the solution lies where? In the content of the first verse, verse 15. If you really sincerely acknowledge what is created by an omnipotent, merciful, wise Creator, when something happens that you don't like, then you start seeing, you start investigating. The Creator is wise, but why He has not given me, or He has what I am expected, or why He has given me something that I don't want. Then we concentrate on His wisdom, because in the first attitude we acknowledged His wisdom. If we don't acknowledge His wisdom when everything goes right, then we cannot really investigate His wisdom in something goes wrong as far as our expectation is concerned.
But Doctor, if you try to understand His wisdom with a negative event, you will never know.
No, don't go there. Before it is okay, but first, have you tried to understand His wisdom when everything goes right?
Not usually.
That's why when something goes wrong, you can never understand His wisdom in something, in the creation of something that you don't like, because you have not trained yourself in His in understanding his wisdom. That is the problem. If you believe in God, this is the case. If you don't believe, if someone doesn't believe in God, he will never think how the things are coming into existence. Anyways, but when something happens which hurts him or her, then he remembers that, look, this is happening to me. If there was God, he wouldn't be that merciful. He wouldn't be that ruthless, without mercy. So they deny God. The reason again why they deny God, if there was God, the hardship should not exist, because God is supposed to provide everything. But he doesn't understand the case at all, because he says he has never thought how the good things that human beings expect to have happened, because he didn't question that. Everything depends on our approach towards the first content of the first verse. The second verse comes afterwards. And according to our understanding, let's say the sunny, beautiful spring day, everything is fine, your expectations are satisfied. If you don't question how this is coming into existence, this type of creation is happening, of course, you have to fail. When something happens that you don't like, that's why you don't understand. The problem is how much, in your question, how much can we find out the wisdom of the Creator? Again, depends on how much we did find out the wisdom of the Creator when everything goes well, as we expect. Depends on the first verse again, or the content of the first verse.
Is it fair to say the wisdom of the Creator is uniform? Whether we receive something as good, or we receive something as bad, or we receive it as neutral, it's still from the same wisdom of the Creator. And so no matter what angle from which we choose to try to approach it,
No.
The good, neutral, bad is us.
No.
Ultimately, it's all wisdom, and we're trying to find channels to understand it.
No, that's what your language. Your language is how do you say, a biased language here, because if you see the wisdom of the Creator, but do you see the wisdom of the Creator in when something is created in your favor? So how much you have realized the wisdom of the Creator when something is created in your favor, according to your expectations?
We try to learn it here in this class.
Now, so accordingly, you will understand when something is created, not in your favor, but maybe against your expectations, then you can understand, you try to understand the wisdom, and you can understand the wisdom of the Creator when something happens that you don't like. Accordingly, you understand. But you cannot make a statement like this. If the Creator is wise, when he favors you, he is wise. When he doesn't favor you according to your expectations, he is still wise. It is baseless. So we are trying to understand, how are we going to make sure that the Creator is wise? When I am ill, it is hard for human beings to understand that the Creator is wise, because it hurts my feelings. I cannot really have a friendly relationship with my Creator, because I think, not in reality, in fact, he is making me suffer. But in reality, there is no suffering. That's another subject. But we think that we are suffering, or some people are suffering. That we hear this language everywhere. There are most of the people who are suffering in this part of the world, in that part of the world. We hear all this. So that is another problem. But let's assume that we understood. No, it is not our concern, because it is difficult to understand that the suffering is imaginary, not real. Because of our wrong attitude, we interpret the things as suffering. Because of our mistake in our attitude towards what is created. Again, we are expected to understand the wisdom of the Creator when something is created in your favor, as you expect. For example, you are hungry and food is ready in front of you. We have to think how the food is created and how my hunger is satisfied. Is it possible to happen by itself, etc.? Then, if on another occasion, it may happen, very rarely though, when you are hungry and there is no food. Then you can say, oh, the creator of food was wise, merciful. Now, why do I think that wise and merciful creator is not giving me food now? Then you can try to understand the wisdom. It becomes possible. Now, this typical example, we are here on Earth, on the globe of Earth, comfortable. No one is feeling uneasy. It is comfortable. Everything is perfectly arranged. Seasons are going well. The seasonal productions are presented to us. Okay, but when there is an earthquake, how can I understand the wisdom if I have not understood that when Earth is running or revolving or preparing a safe place for me to live, how it happened? If I don't concentrate on it, if I don't understand the wisdom in the wisdom of the Creator in this particular action, I will never be able to understand the wisdom when earthquake happens. That's against human expectations. How can you see the mercy in the creation of the earthquake if you have not seen the mercy in the creation of normal days like we are experiencing now? Does it make sense? So most of your question, or comment, whatever.
I have two questions, but on this particular point, I'm not sure if I agree that it needs to be only this way. Meaning that for me to see the wisdom in what I may dislike, I must first see the wisdom in why I like what I like.
The creation of things that I liked.
The creation of things that I liked. The reason why I say that is sometimes in not liking something creates the opportunity for me to, I guess, be observant of what fills that gap so that I can find the wisdom in why I liked something. So almost this entire thing reversed, basically. Let's use the computer analogy. I'm trying to type hello and the letters L aren't there. So I'm struggling with how do I'm disliking this situation that I'm in, but in finding these two other keys, the letter L, I'm able to say, okay, I'm able to complete my mission or what I've wanted, or get further away from what I disliked. And that allows me to understand the wisdom in the creation of the letter L. I think the same thing can kind of be applied to life.
It appears to be like this, but it doesn't appeal to me, this understanding, because those people who somehow culturally follow the belief, not as a result of investigation. Just we believe in God, it seems to be correct, yeah? And when the calamity strikes them, and they say, oh, God is reminding me, God is shaking me, and turn back. But as the unwanted, undesired situation passes, they forget again. It's not a conscious attitude. But if you want to make sure when the calamity happens, for example, the two polarized example, if you don't really concentrate on the creation of the baby and get amazed at the wisdom, the power, the mercy, the providence of the Creator, then you can start thinking, you can make sense of when death is created. What is happening? You can manage with the death situation, saying that the Creator is wise. Well, I understood from my previous experience. So what is the wisdom in it? But in a person's life, if it is just saying that I am a Muslim, I believe in God, or a Muslim or Christian, whatever, I believe in God. And now, when the calamity strikes, they seem to waken up, but it is a temporary, because they understand it's a kind of compulsory surrender, because they cannot challenge the unwanted situation. The compulsory surrender, it means I cannot do anything. I cannot stop death, for example. I cannot stop, for example, hurricane. It was my mistake. I didn't remember God. I should have remembered God. And they keep saying, please God, forgive me. No. But it's a temporary solution. It's not a permanent solution.
So I agree. And when I was thinking of this particular use case or scenario, how much of this situation that a person is in is how they're created, or is like innate in them. Meaning, I guess the example that I'll use is we're sitting in this room. I'm not thanking or acknowledging anything if the room temperature is just normal or pleasing to me. The moment I experience the chilly air or something very hot,
it's uncomfortable.
It's in my creation to, as far as I can observe, it's in my creation to definitely question what disturbs me. So
what
disturbs me? What I dislike.
Yes, very hot. Yeah.
Yeah. So it seems like if by kind of putting this first, question your blessings, then you will understand the wisdom in what you dislike. Methodology or approach seems more, I guess, unnatural. And I'm not talking about a natural.
I don't know. Which case is unnatural? Seems to be unnatural.
Sitting in the room and questioning anything when it's perfectly normal.
Yeah, that is what we are expected to do.
Why? Because
why? Because we have to pay attention consciously what is created, how it is created, And what is the quality of the creator in order to make it happen, in order to create this? That's what we are expected to do. If we don't do that, when something happens that discomforts me, then I just either deny the source, whether it is if it is not, it is not if. It is not the action of a merciful creator. It means it naturally sometimes happens in this way, sometimes happens in that way. Or if I have a general belief in God, and then I am shaken now, oh, God is angry with me whatsoever. No, God is not angry with you whenever he tries human beings by strengthening his means of livelihood. It is not a sign of anger. So if someone is subject to calamity, it doesn't mean that this person is being punished. Death is not a punishment, is it? Illness is not a punishment. But if I neglect my duty, that is a case. But because I neglected my duty to do something, for example, the weather is chilly, but I didn't get my sweater on, so I will feel cold. I will understand that is my mistake. And creation of cold is a reminder. But in order to have this consciousness, I have to be aware I have to have a conscious understanding of God, who is the creator of everything, and that must be my conclusion. Everything is created by him with wisdom, with mercy, with absolute power, and for what? For my benefit. And then I will understand when something I don't like happens, is created, I will say, what is the wisdom in it? For example, if we understand that life is created by the creator of the universe, and it is full of blessing, endless blessing. When the death is now happening, I am likely to say, where is the wisdom in it? Not that because I cannot challenge, I say, okay, so God is angry with me, he's reminding me. We say reminding. That's why people keep using tests. It's a test. Right? It's a test, it's a trial, as this Baliya says. But what do you remember in our classes what we use instead of test and trial? What language we use? Training, possibility. It's an opportunity. So first we have to utilize the opportunity when we like it. And the question, who can create, let's say, the spring? If I concentrate on it and understand that only the one who is able to do that, powerful enough, knowledgeable enough, wise enough, loving enough, to create this. If I understand this, when the severe winter conditions strikes me, what I do? This God is creating this situation now, unwanted situation, undesired situation. What is the wisdom in it? Rather than not being able to challenge and submit and saying that, oh, I was neglectful, I'm sorry. And then when the event happens, we forget, because it is not really well established. So our duty is, I understand, when everything works right, nicely, we have to question who is creating all this perfect thing, nice thing. We have to question. No?
Not fully convinced, but
No.
I'll spend more time on it. It just seems like I'm trying to think more and more that is it my personal conditioning that allows me to only question when something is missing, but that doesn't seem like to be the case because
But excuse me, who said this?
I'm
We never mentioned that. My position is that I have to question when something happens that I don't like.
no, that's what I'm saying. It's more natural for me to do it that way than
No,
what
this is a problem. Look, we have to be very careful. Some people love disasters and suffering. For example, why do you think more than 2 billion people love the story that Jesus suffered? Why do you think? Suffering, the understanding of the suffering, they say, in Christian theology, they say, you have to prepare your path to crucifixion. You understand this at all? It means I am always here to be crucified on the way. So this is a negative attitude to make the people awake, be awake or awaken the people, saying that, look, you have to be ready when the disaster happens, that you have to resist as Jesus did. So this suffering is a big problem. It's a big problem. But if you really see that even those people who are destroyed, we read, right? It is not a suffering. We spend a lot of time, but I don't think we grasp the message of the Quran properly. This wasn't a means of suffering for them. This wasn't an anger of God, as people translate now, those people who earn God's anger. But in fact, the existence of these people mentioned there became futile. And God said, why should I create you anymore? Because it is useless. I sent this message, you didn't pay attention. I sent this message, you didn't pay attention. I sent this very obvious beam message, and you rejected. Not only you didn't pay attention, look, we made the distinction. Remember, it was, I think, the last 2-3 weeks, we had a very interesting discussion, but we have to understand. Now, when the prophetic message comes, if you don't know, if you are not aware of the prophetic message, it means ignorance. There is no punishment, there is no disaster, or that punishment, they call it punishment. I don't think it is a punishment. It is, for example, you are using this machine, and when this machine becomes dysfunctioning, what do you do? No hope to recover.
get rid of it.
Are you angry with the machine? It is a wrath of the owner that it is destroying it?
Yeah.
What is it?
It's wise to get rid of it.
Yeah, just discard it. The destruction of these people were the same. God, but people's attitude and interpretation of it, understanding of it, God is angry with them and really smashing them down. No, it says you are useless now. You are useless to be human beings on earth because you don't take any reminder, any message, and you don't use it. You don't function as human beings anymore. And you become completely dysfunctioned, created in this way. It means destroyed because it is useless. For example, there is a tree in front of your house. You don't really benefit from it at all. What do you do with the tree? Get rid of it, cut it. For example, you are not benefiting from the fruit. You are not benefiting from the shade. You are not benefiting from its producing, it's employed to produce oxygen or consume the carbon dioxide. You don't benefit from it, let's say. You cut it. Do you think you are angry with the tree? You are not no good anymore. What God says, but it appears to be when you are cutting it, it appears to be you are angry with it. When the death comes, let's say the extreme example in order to make our minds clear about the subject, when the most beloved people are the prophets, right? When the prophets are subject to die, right? Do you think God is angry with them? Or God says, okay, you fulfilled your duty. It is time now. Come away, go away from the scenery. There is no need to be here anymore. When the completion in the life of the Prophet Muhammad, when the completion of the revelation came to the end, completed, Prophet is taken away from this world. It means he was given death. And not because of anger, because of the wrath of God, but that's what we interpret it, we perceive it. Think of death. The death is, the human beings are subject to death. Is it because God gets at the end, come on, you are not good enough, I'm going to kill you now? Because we are not good enough. Anyways, we never is good enough. We never become good enough. We never become good enough. No, that's why we are giving death. Or why? We have been given the opportunities. Whether we used it or not, that's enough now. That is what you can do at most. Okay, come back. Now, finished. Your duty finished. Your purpose of existence now accomplished. Come back now. Then the spirit is taken away from the body. And it is not the wrath, but some descriptions in the Quran seems to be, for example, the death agony, pain. It will be very hard for the unbelievers, not because God is punishing them. Their attitude makes it unbearable or agony, because they cannot really see the mercy in the creation of anything. So when they really are very much stuck, or when they are really lost in the pleasure of this world, when it is taken away, it is very hurting for them because of their wrong attitude, not because God is wrath. So if something is created in me, or something is created in my life that I don't like, I don't enjoy, it is because of my attitude, not because of God's anger or anything. For example, the second verse says, it's very clear, whereas whenever he tries him, the translation Beliya, it means wherever he starts training him in another way, by strengthening his means of livelihood, he says that is his attitude now. My Lord has disgraced me. God doesn't say, I am disgraced, I am disgracing you. This is what the subject, the person says he disgraced me because of my expectations. I am used to getting everything ready for me and not realizing where it is coming from. Okay.
Doctor, so we should look beyond like and dislike and look for the wisdom. And if we,
In wisdom in what?
in the creation of any event,
But first, that is important. First, when things happen, that you enjoy it, that you have to see for example, when tree is growing, right, in front of your house, but in your garden, orchard, you are happy with it, and after certain years, they start dying, right? You don't like them because you have been benefiting from them. So you say, what's going on? Why are they dying? You become unhappy with it. But if you have not educated yourself, when the trees are growing, how they are growing, how they are becoming very beneficial for you. If you have not educated yourself with it, when they are dying, you will feel hurt. That is called suffering. Now, is the suffering real? Is the suffering real? Ask yourself this question. Is the suffering real? Why? Your imagination. Because you have not seen, in the example, how the tree is growing, who is making it, who is presenting it to you now. You have not educated yourself with his mercy and wisdom. Now, when the tree starts dying, you feel hurt because you don't want tree to go away. But one thing we have to understand, do you like death of the tree? Let's make this distinction. Do you like that the tree is dying in your orchard? No, that is real. That's how we are created. We shouldn't like it. But it shouldn't go to the extent of our suffering. I don't want it. That's how I am created. But when the trees are dying, I never criticize the creator. I don't suffer because of my feeling. What is the feeling? Not to like the death of the tree. You don't suffer because of the feeling. What you do, I don't like it. I don't like it, but the creator is merciful. The best example is what? Rabbi anni massani ad-durru wa anta arhamur rahimin. It's a beautiful verse explaining the situation of the example of the Prophet Job. Oh my Lord, the harm has afflicted me. Yes, I don't like it. But I know you are the most merciful of the merciful. It means I'm not suffering. Yes, it is hurting, but this hurting doesn't turn into suffering and therefore complain. And it becomes a means of acknowledgement. That's why last week, I think, where were we last week? Here, in this room. That's why last week, if someone has chosen as a witness to other people to realize how the grace of God is prevalent, but we have to have an alternative. For example, health and illness, right? That is alternative. Illness is alternative. but let's say not everybody is ill or sick. Some people are sick. So it is an alternative for me to say that I could have been like this man, but I am given health. Now, this man is created as a witness for me to realize, to make me realize my health is precious and given to me, so that I have to think about the health, how it is created, and I have to be thankful for it. Now, how about the person who is hurting, or who feels hurt about his illness? That is appointed as a witness. Now, this person will understand that the creator of health is merciful one. Now he has chosen me as a witness. We call it in the language of the Quran, martyr. You are chosen. Only chosen people are martyr. For any reason known by the creator, not by me, even for the person himself, by the person himself. But we should understand that the creator of health is wise and merciful. When he creates illness, we have to see the wisdom and mercy in the creation of illness, because we are given illness to witness the truth. It means we are martyrs. That is not the anger of God, maybe opposite, just opposite, mercy of God. You are chosen. So in both cases, we should realize that no, some human beings are suffering. No, there is no suffering. Suffering, only we feel suffering when we attach the value to its the outward form of the things. It means I am healthy, I am ill now. Look, my body is healthy and my body is hurting now. So when you attach or when you interpret existence in terms of your body, not your realization, your human awareness, human consciousness. Now, your body wasn't hurting yesterday, today it is hurting, right? Now, you say that it is a negative thing. So look at the language now, turn it in a very tricky way. I am suffering. You are not suffering. Your body is hurting. You are not body. That is why the Quran makes it so clear. Yes, harm afflicted me, but you are the most merciful of the merciful one. These are the solution for human problems. If anybody has any kind of problems which causes unhappiness, this is the best way to solve the problem, and the real true way. If you don't define yourself as your body, I am my body. Whatever happens, your body is not you. Who you are then, not the body, the one who examines what is being created, and what is in what is created, you see nothing but the power, knowledge, wisdom, mercy. But your body hurts. If you define yourself as your body, you got to suffer and complain. This is a very tricky way. Unfortunately, modern psychology never makes this distinction. Some people, cognitive therapy applies cognitive therapy, although they are secular people, but somehow they say it is suffering is in your mind, not in reality. This kind of language they use, but in reality, it is not enough. This is not enough. What we have to do is very simple. You have to define yourself as a human being, not as body. Body is not a human being. In practical terms, we say we have body as well. But for example, body is the house. You are the one who lives in the house. Okay? Now, let's say one part of the house is destroyed by the storm. Do you feel hurt? You don't like it, but do you feel hurt? No, it's nothing. The wall is being hurt, if you like, destroyed. Now, the human spirit in the body is like the person in the house. If something happens to the body, it's not me. What is me is the one who is conscious of the act of creation going on in the body. Who is creating it? In both cases, if someone wants to educate, train himself, herself, to understand, to educate, to improve his human side, he has to disassociate himself from his body. Can you make it? It means body is my house. I am not the house. Something happens to the house, I may have some responsibility. It doesn't mean that I shouldn't care. No, if some part of your house is destroyed, you have to repair. But you don't feel hurt and suffering. All the source of suffering is identification of human beings with their body. Okay.
So, according to this understanding, then,
it
can be said that suffering is artificial and imposed rather than something that has a reality of its own.
No, you are right. You are right. It means it doesn't have a reality on its own. Suffering is the result of our misconception. For example, mostly Christian theory, I don't like comparison, but you have to make the case clear. Most of Christian theory is attaching importance to the cause, right? Cause and effect. So how it happens, how it appears, Jesus, how it is in Christianity, Jesus is the cause of his own miracles. So it is the one who performed miracles, not bi-iznillah, as the Quran says. He did it. It means cause and effect is connected. In the Quran, cause and effect is disconnected. They created next to each other, but not like this. Let me see. Not like this. They are disconnected. This is an act of creation. This is an independent act of creation. Cause and effect. Both of them are created by the same originator of the creation. Right? But in Christianity, it goes like this. When you pull this one, it pulls the other one. It means cause and effect. Cause has an effect. This understanding is prevalent in some of the Muslim scholars as well. They are called traditional, they are called what? Yeah? Any knowledge? No? Okay. Mu'tazilites. right? Just to know the land. But who is Mu'tazilite? Everybody who's identified with Mu'tazilite is completely corrupt. No, 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 no. Only this point is extremely important and makes the distinction among the Muslim scholarship. This is a particular group of people. They attach importance to the cause and effect. Now, the cause and effect, if someone attaches importance to cause, which is the source of existence of effect, as Jesus was the source of existence of effect, yeah? When Jesus' body is crucified according to Christian theology, what happens now? Jesus is not, it doesn't have an independent existence apart from his body. It is like this. So when his body suffers, they thought Jesus is suffering. Do you understand? Because it is identified, because when we say, if somebody's spirit is taken away from the body, we don't say that this person's spirit is dead now. No, this person is dead. No, no, this person is not dead. Body is separated from the spirit. That's it. Don't say that the person is dead. Ideologically, not practically, right? Ideally, practically, we say the person is dead means, as far as the conditions of this life, the worldly life is concerned, this person is dead. It means not living in this world anymore. But in reality, human beings never die. We have to understand this. Only the spirit is taken away from his home, from its home. That's it. So that is why I mentioned this last week, or I think it was last week, that Jesus, in the language of the Christian theology, Jesus complains that, "Oh my Lord, why did you leave me?" If you believe in Lord, no one leaves you. It is acknowledged with you, and you are not body. So when your body is crucified, it is nothing is happening to you. Why do you say that my Lord has left me alone? Do you understand the very fine point? It looks like it's a very fine point. Practically, we don't really think in that deeply and finely. So how are we going to solve our practical problems? We have to understand that your conception of the creation is you, not your bodily experience of the creation is you. Now, when you eat the food, your conception of the creation of the food is you. The food's relationship with your body is not you.
When you say conception,
yeah, very fine point. Be careful; it solves all your problems.
Yeah, I agree, but can you elaborate on what you mean by conception? I'm assuming you're
perception. Perception.
But is that your thought, or is that your understanding?
No, your realization, your consciousness. Now, thought is a process. Thought is a tool. You can employ it this way or another way. Yeah, it's a tool. Like the glasses, you may put it here and helps you to see better, or put it here, well, it doesn't function as far as you are concerned. But consciousness is you. So you can use the mind to make certain process so that the outcome of this process may be evaluated by your consciousness, and this is you now. Your thought is not you. It is, that's why people find it strange to understand body and mind dichotomy. There is no body and mind dichotomy. There is no dichotomy in creation, in fact. Maybe do you understand this problem? It is a very fine problem. There is no dichotomy in the creation. The dichotomy is our imagination, is our mistaking the creation. It means reducing for example, human beings to body, reducing the food to its material being, material substance. But it is not body and mind, but in fact, for your humanity, the mercy manifested in the food is your humanity. The food's material substance is for your body. Now, if you think that food is for you as a human being, when there is no food, you complain the mercy, because there is no mercy, you think. But it was the body's treatment, not your human side's treatment. Be careful there. So if there is food, body is happy. If there is no food, body suffers, not you. Now, because in both cases, you know that the creator of the food is absolutely merciful one, because otherwise there is no way of explaining the existence of food. How can you explain the existence of food and the delicious taste? How do you do that? You can't. What we do, because very simple-minded materialist people are not aware of any of this at all. They are very simple-minded people. They say, first of all, from the beginning, they define themselves as body. Yeah, when the food is provided, yeah, it is good. That's how it should be, as the verse says. The first verse 15 says. When it is not created, why am I subject to suffering? You are not subject to suffering. Because they cannot understand this, because they define themselves as body. So when the body is not experiencing what it expects to happen, to be created, they say, I am deprived of mercy. You are not deprived of mercy. Mercy is in your understanding, in your, I use the word perception, consciousness. Are you aware of the source of existence of the food? That is you. That's human being. If you look at the food itself, that's body. Now, first of all, forget about this body-mind dichotomy. It is completely misconception. Body-mind, no, that is, human beings are not mind. Yeah? Human beings are not mind. Human beings are, in the language of the Quran, ruh, spirit. Got it? Now, so forget about this mind business. Mind is one element in the human spirit. But what makes a human being and where one's perception of creation or actions and not behind, the source of these actions, the realizing these actions is something to do with your consciousness. Now be careful there. If you are conscious, if you are aware that whether there is fruit or not, the creator of this world, the creator of fruit, you tasted only once. You tasted the fruit only once and understood that the creator of the fruit is merciful, most powerful, most wise. Right? You understood. That's it. It is absolute mercy. It is absolute. You belong to the absolute mercy now, but your body suffers. That is why we have to be careful. We cannot deny the pain, right? We cannot deny the sense of dislike of death or illness or disaster. But it doesn't, it should not take us to the conclusion that I should, or I would say, God, the Creator, is not merciful to me anymore. It has been merciful to me for, let's say, 20 years. Now I am ill. He's not merciful to me anymore. And funny interpretations comes in. He is angry with me. He is punishing me. This kind of language, punishment, etc., is our conception. God, by definition, never punishes anyone. But be careful, but the communities, the people are destroyed. They became useless, taken away. So if your consciousness does not recognize God anymore, what happens now? You don't live as a human being anymore. You live as an animal. It means body, because you are body now when you don't have the consciousness. You are body. And what you do now, you pay all your attention to the satisfaction of your body, rather than realizing what is going on in existence. These are interesting points for me, because we are a small group of people here. We can discuss this kind of things to attract our attention and say, what am I doing in this world? How do I identify myself? How do I use myself? What is going on in the world? What is the reality of existence? What should I make out of it? These must be our main questions to be investigated.
So I can acknowledge, or I can disassociate my existence from my body, right? And if I understand my existence in terms of something that is not my body, then I can acknowledge that the treatment of my body is not the treatment of me necessarily. But at the same time, my body is the vehicle through which my perception of creation is formed. And so the treatment of the body inevitably affects the treatment, at least, of how I may perceive, or rather, any effect on the tool, right? Tool, my body as a tool, as a vehicle, right, as a means through which I, have these interactions with different creation.
One thing is missing. Mind is the tool in the hands of the consciousness, spirit. The spirit has tools, mind, feelings, uses them. Free will directs them. We have to have a chart, actually. Now, free will, we talked about it, is like a steering wheel, right? The reality of the car, let's take the car example. Reality of the car is not the iron part of the car. The design of the car. This is the reality of the car. It means according to which laws these irons are working. Now that is the reality of the car. Otherwise, for example, if you take the iron part of the car, put it there, it has nothing to do with the car. Out. System. If you take out of the system of the car or design the order of the car, every piece of the car becomes completely useless. When they are put into the order of the car, they start functioning. Now, the difference is the importance, the significance of this. We should not say that the iron part is the car. The laws, the principles, the order in which the car is functioning is the car. The others are only tools. Now, the free will is the one who uses the steering wheel, right? Consciousness is the one who is aware of the order of the car, how it works. Now, mind can be employed through the direction of the free will to investigate the source of the design according to the design, how the iron, consciousness iron, is employed there. As a result, the car happened functioning. Now the mind questions this. Can this part act on its own, or it has an engineer who employed it there? Do you understand? When the mind says, this mind only tells the negative side. This iron part cannot be by itself in the position as it is. Somebody must have put it. Right? Consciousness become aware of the design of the car now, or order of the car now. Now, let's say a part is broken. Look, consciousness knows the order, still, how the car works. Consciousness is aware that this part is put here to function for this purpose, and it is broken, that's why it is not working. It doesn't mean that there is no car in its abstract sense. There is still car, the order is there. What you need to do to replace the broken part with the new part. Don't say there's no car, because it is not working for the moment. Practically, your life may have lots of difficulties. Don't say there is no mercy. The order of the functioning of the car exists. It never disappears. Now, the human beings function is not in such a apparently complicated way, but if you realize the difference between what consciousness is, what mind is, what the body is, when you make this distinction, it's very easy. When your food is put in front of you, just when you question the first, as the first verse says, how come it exists? Right? The creator of the food is, in the example, order of the car, eternally exists. The parts may not be functioning properly. It is about the part. It is nothing to do with the order of the car that works. Do you get the difference? Understand or not? So even the all parts are completely destroyed, still the order exists. That is consciousness. if even the universe is completely destroyed, still the absolute power, absolute mercy, absolute justice, absolute providence, absolute wisdom exists. In the language of Nursi, it says, these are the hakika, the reality of the world. Yeah, these are the principles of the world, main principles of the world to exist. For example, people say they are laws. Yeah, what are they saying? Law of gravity. What else? Law of, I don't know. So thermodynamics, people say this and this and this. But a serious scholar, which Nursi is one of them, really is a great man, he says, law of power, law of knowledge, law of wisdom, law of beauty, law of love, law of compassion, law of justice. These are permanent constants of existence, constants. Without law of absolute power, the universe cannot exist. Without law of absolute wisdom, the universe cannot exist. These are the constants. But materialist people say constants are the laws of nature. It is so ridiculous. They cannot solve any problem, any human problem. That's what we have to all really, if you like the word I'm using it in the daily language, suffer from the effect of this materialist philosophy and reduce ourselves. If something happens that our body likes, we are happy. If something happens that our body doesn't like, we are not happy. If some, for example, if I get a fresh air in the morning, I say, oh, I'm happy. When something suffocating, I'm not happy. Because the law, the constant for me is defined in terms of my body. It means I am identifying myself with my body only. Or the parts. For example, let's come to the car example. If you think that the car consists of its parts, not the order that the car works accordingly. Now, if something happens to the parts of the car, what do you say? Car is suffering. But if you are conscious of the order of the car, which is permanent, independent of its order, its parts, car is not suffering. So because you are free, you have free will, because the car works when the parts are put together properly according to the law of the order of how the car works, right? You know that. But you have to replace the part without falling into despair that car disappeared. Car is not functioning for me anymore. No, car is there, but the part needs to be replaced. You should never lose, you should, that's correct, but you never lose in general. Yes? Your hope in the order of the car. When you see, that's why the conscious scholars say, even this universe exists only once as it is, that's enough for you. For a second of experience of the existence is enough for you.
Why? You realize that such an order exists. When you see once only a car is running, that's enough for you. There is the principle of this matter working in this way as we call it car. Now, afterwards, you never experience the car. Do you lose your belief in the existence of the order of the car? You see the difference? That's why belief brings you into eternity, takes you into eternity, gives you eternal happiness, although the parts may not work. You understand? It's a simple example. I like the example. Now, myself. So, trying to explain how the word perception, our perception of the world must be. Unfortunately, we never think in this way. We are not introduced the word in this way. Even some people speak in these terms. We think they are just prayers, supplications, but we don't take them into our real life. What is it to do with my reality as I am living in this world? How can I apply it? How can I apply it to my awareness, to my consciousness, so that I will say, okay, for example, let's say I have lots of illnesses, alhamdulillah. So my body is suffering from it. I say, oh, okay. I must say, whether I'm saying it or not, that's another matter. وَأَنْتَ أَرْحَمُ الرَّاحِمِينَ. It is not coming back to your first. It is not because of helplessness. What can I do? Yeah? What can I do? I cannot do anything but submit to it. Now, submission is to what? Or is expected to what? The source of existence, the qualities of the source of existence. The Creator is absolutely merciful. Look, I have seen the spring. The one who created spring must be absolutely powerful one. Creates everything at the same time, produces what we need, everything. Merciful one. Yep. When it is time for winter, what happens? The merciful one, do you think the change it is mine? The merciful one is the absolutely merciful one. Only then come to your question. Only then you can start questioning what is the mercy in the existence of winter. Because mercy is absolute. You established as a result of your observation and conclusion of the existence of spring. Get it? These kind of subjects are religious subjects. The others I don't know. Because we have to solve our human problems from the root. Religion is for this. Not how to do this and that. That is secondary subject. The result of practical side of it. But essence of this, we have to discuss this kind of matters a lot and concentrate on what my position should be in this world. So the way I define myself, makes everything different for me. Even my worship, even my rituals becomes or turns into completely different form. Why do I do this? What do they mean for me? It's completely different. It becomes completely different. But I have to solve the problem from the root. If you got this point, inshallah, today it is worth it. So shall we have maybe 8 or 10 minutes until the socialist stop? Or do you know exactly when it is 12 past 20 something?
24. 24.
24, 13, 9 minutes we have. So let's prepare our minds, inshallah, for the next week. Now, what is the following verse? It's so strange. The Quran, that's why the Orientalist people, or those people who study the Quran from outside, not within, but without, they say, what were you talking now? You haven't talking? How grateful human beings, how disgrateful human beings are. Some people, they say, no, it's the same man because of the lack of consciousness. To me, so it's Kalla bella tukrimuna al-yatim. No, indeed, you don't honor orphans. What is it to do with the previous subject? Of course, we should ask the same question. These people destroyed because of this. These people destroyed because they rejected the prophet. The others are destroyed because they rejected the prophet. They became useless. So when the machine is useless, what do? You just throw it into recycle. Not because you're angry with the machine. You just throw it into the recycle if there is a recycle. Or otherwise throw it into the earth. Yeah. Let it rot there. So then فَأَمَّا الْإِنسَانِ إِذَا مَا ابْتَلَاهُ رَبُّهُ فَأَكْرَمَهُ. If the man, when man is tried by God, with the tried, it means really giving the opportunity. What the people like, say to human being like it, they said, oh, God is really pleased with me, right? Not this one. This one. God has honored me, the akrama. The word akrama is important now. We will use it for the following verses. It is repeated in another form. Now, my Lord has honored me. What is it to do with destroyal of the people? Now, if you don't take the message into account, the message, verbal explanation of the message, and reject it, you start living this dilemma. You take it for granted, the existence, saying that it has to be as it is. That is what is expected from nature. But when something happens against your expectations, not the real, but your means what? The person who identifies his being in terms of body. If for this man, when the food is not giving, or the draft happens, oh, God is not dishonoring me. Right? Because he never took notice of the message. Now, as a result of this attitude, how it appears to be in the practical life of man. You don't honor orphans. You know why? Because orphan for you is the one who has no protector. So you just disregard him. Because no one can protect, for example, the glass is an orphan before me. Who is the younger one? These are the younger ones. You are an orphan in the hands of your father. Right? Let's assume, I don't let my father treat me as he wants. You are grown up. Let's assume a baby. A baby, newborn baby, is an orphan in the hands of his or her father and mother. who's the grandmother, they treat him any way they want. The baby cannot protect himself. He's an orphan. No one is taking care of the baby in this world. The baby cannot, not no one. Baby cannot take care of itself. It's an orphan in the hands of the parents. So the parents give any kind of shape to them. Right. They don't honor orphan. What does it mean? You know, ekrama? It is interesting, but how can I make it? This one. This word, ekrama, karam, honoring. Now, come here. Karam, the same word. Why? Because in the previous word, section, the person who identified himself as a body, and when the body is treated, when the car is working, oh good, I have a car. When the car is not working, there is no car. In fact, there is car, but the part is not working. Because the order of the existence of car exists, right? But this man is not aware of it. That's why this man says, when the parts work, I have a car. I am honored. When the parts don't work, I don't have a car. I am not honored. I am dishonored. Now, what shall I do now? Right? Without a car. They think, but the car exists. This is what happened. The order of the existence of car exists. You got it. Now for the orphan, yatim. Now, if you say, if the person says the orphan is the body of the child, right? Now, they don't honor the orphan because they think that this body, the baby, cannot protect itself before me. I can treat him as I want. That's why it's orphan. Do you think that orphan is, in practical terms, orphan is translated or understood as what? A person who doesn't have father and mother. But it is symbolic. Why is it symbolic? Father and mother is expected to protect the child. So it means anything which doesn't have a protector is in front of you or before you, is orphan for you. A tree is orphan for you. You can cut it, you can breathe, you can feed. Now the same mentality in practical life, not according to yourself, according to what is happening to you, now according to what is happening to other people and your relationship with the other people now. Other creatures, not only people. So they don't honor orphan. Because their understanding of honor is what in the previous verse? In terms of body. Now, so this person is weak, just the opposite part. This person is weak and I am powerful. What do? I command him. I manipulate him. Yeah, because I define him as orphan. It means without protector. No protection. He has no protection. I can treat him as I want. So what we do now, for example, when we have practical example, let's say I have an orange. I can eat it in this way or another way. No one can protect orange itself cannot say that you cannot eat me like this. You cannot treat me like this. Orphan cannot say this. The orange in the example cannot say this. Orange is an orphan in your hand. and you don't honor it because according to your understanding, orange is not representative of absolute mercy, absolute nourisher, absolute wisdom. Orange consists of its body, and its body cannot resist your treatment. But absolute mercy does. Do you see the connection? In the practical terms now, it's beautiful. Yeah, it looks like no relationship. When the subject is completely different, it looks like it is not. Okay, what time is the prayer? 24? Morning. Inshallah, we can go to the masjid, and inshallah, Saturday in Woodhaven. Next Wednesday, you are not here, but we will take care of, somebody will come earlier, a little bit earlier, or let's see the program. Today they said no one is using IC, and the fifth floor is not rented or hired, so they are not really charging fifth floor. This is just free, we are using it. So if it is the case again, inshallah, we will come here again. These are very interesting subjects, very interesting, very, rarely you can find them, the explanation. But never forget the car example. Never. And put yourself into the example of car. You are the car. Whatever happens to your body, your order of existence is eternal. That's why they say human spirit is eternal. Bismillahir-Rahman. It's beautiful. I really love it. Bismillahir-Rahman. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. But we have to repeat this kind of subject. We have to give many examples, practical examples. So you must bring up your problems, but if it happens in this way, what will happen? What shall I do, etc. We have to go revise and revise and revise, and inshallah it settles down. But it takes time. It's not that easy because it is not in the air. No one teaches us in this way. I mean, maybe, but we are not aware of it. Even they teach. There are many people are teaching, actually. We are not aware of it. We say, for example, Prophet Job prayed God like this. It's consciousness. Prayer is consciousness, but we don't know the connection between consciousness and prayer. Prayer is the result of your consciousness, but if you are not aware that it's your consciousness, you reduce it to completely disassociated from your reality. It becomes a prayer, but not your reality. But prayer must be your reality. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.